Program Director, Chairperson of Conference, Chairperson of the session. The regional leadership, led here by Makoro, John Mpe. I would want to congratulate you, comrades. Delegates to this conference, members of the African National Congress broadly and its leagues, representatives of the Alliance and the broader democratic movement, invited guests and people of Peter Mokaba region, revolutionary greetings to you on behalf of the Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC in Limpopo. Comrades, we salute the regional leadership and branches for ensuring that this conference takes place under the guidance of the ANC Constitution and the principles of unity, renewal, and service to the people. We gather here, comrades, not only as delegates and leaders, but as servants of our people, tasked with leading the ANC back to its rightful position as a trusted force for national revolution or national revolutionary democratic transformation and development. Comrades, the ANC has adopted resolutions to advance unity and organizational renewal. These are not slogans, comrades. They are urged, or should I say they are urgent tasks that must guide everything that we do. The ANC adopted this direction because of real challenges, organizational weaknesses, governance issues, and declining public confidence, to name but a few. These challenges, along with unfavorable objective realities, have coalesced to impact negatively on the ANC's electoral support. If we are serious about reversing the downward trends, comrades, in support and performance, we must reflect honestly upon ourselves. We must ask ourselves questions. For example, are our actions uniting the movement or dividing it further? Are we driving renewal or resisting it? We need to ask ourselves such serious questions, comrades. Every conference and every branch meeting, every regional engagement must answer these questions. Have we improved the way we lead and serve? Have we reconnected with the people? Have we shifted away from internal battles over positions and focused instead on the lived realities of the poor, the unemployed, and those with low wage employment, those affected mostly by inequality? Those are the kind of questions that if, comrades, we are saying we are the leader of the society, we need to ask ourselves those questions. If we are saying the ANC live, therefore the ANC leads, we need to ask ourselves those questions. As to why, comrades, what is happening to this movement of the people? Why should delegates of a conference stay in a venue for 7 days without conference taking place? We need to ask ourselves those questions, comrades. And after doing that, then, comrades, we will be in the position to can say the movement of Lituli, the movement of Mark Shope, may Gertrude Shope, may her soul rest in peace. Is it still alive? Is it still the leader of the society? You know, in one ANC NEC meeting, comrades, I raised a question, very pertinent question. Many people that time criticized me for saying, thinking that I'm saying the ANC is dead. I said in that meeting, comrades, we need to ask ourselves a very important question. Do we still have an organization called the African National Congress? Or do we have groups or factions, all of which calls themselves ANC? We need to really and honestly, comrades, confront that question. Because comrades have been tend to become self-saving. It's either me, you know the wolf mentality, Comrade Magor. The wolf mentality. Mekgwaela ya bo phiri. You know phiri, ge ka hwetša sa go ja, ya ja ya khora. Ya hwetša e le gore namela e sa le gona. Ga e nyake e nngwe phoofolo gore e nngwe phiri tleitše. You know what it does? E rutela namela. Gore e senyege gore ya senya phatlalatša then. That's the wolf mentality. And that, comrades, if we can deteriorate as the African National Congress to that level, then what are we doing to this movement of the people? Or is either me or nothing? We need really, comrades, to revisit into and talk to our consciences. You know, the most important thing the politics ANC is not just to build consciousness. They also develop what we call a conscience, revolutionary morality, conscience. It's fine. Because conferences of the African National Congress, comrades, must reunite the organization, revive and re-inspire comrades, ordinary comrades on the ground. Because they are conferences of comrades and not conferences of enemies. Comrades, this conference must be defined by bold discussions about how the ANC in the Peter Mokaba region can practically advance the national priorities of our movement and government. And comrades, you know, Mukoni says I was nodding when this last commission was presenting. Because the young man was talking about actual things that need to be done. You know, there is something in economics that is called the financial net present value, and something that is called the economic net present value of a project or a program. That is what the young man was talking about, the economic net present value of the program. What is this program doing socially in terms of developing the people on the ground? Despite go lebella net just the ordinary, the narrow financial net profit present value of the program. What is normally referred to as a multiplier effect. Those are the kind of things that we need to confront as activists of the African National Congress, if we still want to call ourselves the agent of change. We need to confront that. Comrades, we need to look into the priorities such as inclusive economic growth and employment creation, as it is stated within our manifesto, comrades. Tackling the high cost of living and fighting poverty, building an ethical, capable, and developmental state. Remember, comrades, that is what we said in our manifesto. And that is what the President also said in the State of the Nation address. Now, as the African National Congress, we need to come up with actual measures, actual methods, and mechanisms of making it a point that this becomes a reality, not just a slogan. Comrades, Capricorn is central to these goals, therefore. The region's challenges are real and urgent. Unemployment here stands at more than 40%. Remember, this is the capital region of the province. And unemployment stands at more than 40%, expanded. Among young people aged between 15 to 34, it is even worse. More than half of our households live below the poverty line. Inequality continues to grow. Our people struggle with rising food prices, transport costs, and lack of economic opportunities. Comrades, the challenges I have just mentioned do not mean that we have not made progress. There is no doubt, comrades, in whoever in my mind, that we have made significant strides since the democratic breakthrough of 1994. Particularly through the many commendable social advances achieved under the ANC-led government. However, we must face the reality that serious problems remain. In addition to those already highlighted, we continue to struggle with crime, drugs, gender-based violence, and so on and so forth. These issues affect the daily lives of our people, shape how the people perceive the ANC, particularly as the governing party, and ultimately influence the level of political support that we receive. Hence, comrades, I always say, it is not what we are doing that makes us unpopular on the ground. That is not what makes us unpopular on the ground. It's not what we are doing. In fact, it is what we are not doing that makes us unpopular on the ground. Our people want water. Our people want jobs. Our people want good roads, which doesn't have potholes. And that is what we are not providing them to the level that satisfies our people. It's not like we are not providing, but we are not providing them to the level that satisfies our people. And that is what makes us unpopular, comrade. Not what the narrative, the media narrative that we always hear. Our ANC is corrupt, whatever. Yes, we hate corruption as the African National Congress. We don't want to see corruption. But that is not Bakekolo ba le mathamaga kwa Ntho Bulubedu le Blueberg. Banyakang baling interested in. They are interested in ordinary services, quality services on the ground. Banyaka metsi Bakekolo ba. Banyaka ditsela, banyaka bana ba bona ba bereka. And ga ba bona bana ba bona ba sa bereki. Ba shupa ANC. That is what makes us unpopular. Comrades, the Limpopo provincial government has in various plans already adopted key programs to drive development, and this includes a focus on industrialization, infrastructure investment, SMME support, youth employment and rural development. The district development model, which promotes alignment between all spheres of government to better plan and deliver services. 3, the Limpopo Agri-Hub program, supporting emerging farmers and agro-processing value chains. 4, driving investments and creating employment. At district level, the Capricorn District Municipality's integrated development plan prioritizes employment creation through small business development, agro-processing, tourism, green energy and infrastructure upgrades. These are real interventions, comrades, but they need political support. They need the ANC to take ownership of these programs, not from government corridors, but not from government corridors only, but from the ground, through branches, ward councillors, and local mobilizations. This conference, comrades, and I am confident, I can confidently say now that it did address this, must take this program seriously. We must discuss how the ANC in this region supports and strengthens them. We must ask, how do we link local economic development with provincial and national priorities? How do we train and empower young people, women, and people living with disabilities to access economic and social development opportunities? How do we push municipalities to become ethical and effective centers of service delivery? How do we fight poverty, hunger, and rising cost of living at community level? How do we mobilize our branches and leagues to become active drivers of local economic development? This work is part of Renewal, comrades. A renewed ANC is not one that only speaks of internal organizational unity. It is one that gets involved in real programs to change lives towards the achievement of all the goals of the Freedom Charter. Our people do not want more slogans, comrades. They want food on the table, employment for their children, clinics that work effectively, water in their taps and homes, and schools that are safe and produce high quality results and high quality education. In that spirit, we will be celebrating 70 years since the adoption of this mighty Freedom Charter, a timeless beacon of our democratic aspirations. Over the decades, comrades, we have advanced steadily in strengthening political freedoms and improving the social fiber of our nation. Yet the journey towards true economic transformation remains unfinished. The promise of the people shall share in the economy's wealth, as envisaged in the Freedom Charter, is still far from realized. This conference stands as a crucial platform for the Peter Mokaba region to take stock of our progress confronting the gaps, and lay down clear, actionable steps to bring the Charter's economic ideals to life in our communities and in our lifetime. Delegates, the ethical and capable state we speak of starts with us. It starts with the ANC councillors who do not steal or manipulate tenders. It starts with regional leaders who reject corruption and unnecessary conversion of local state functions into tenders. It starts with branches that listens to communities and report back, not only during elections time, comrades, but all the times. Let us also rise above narrow leadership contests. Let us not allow our conferences to be reduced to personal ambitions. This gathering must produce leadership that will lead policy debates, strengthen local government, and reconnect the ANC with the grassroots. We must renew the ANC as a people's movement, comrades, not a ladder of personal or factional interest via leadership contestations linked with competition for deployments in government and control of public resources. The ANC that our people want back is the ANC that will deepen its efforts to transform and build this country, guided by the National Democratic Revolution, and basic program being that program of the Freedom Charter. Comrades, Comrade Peter Mokaba taught us that we must not rest while injustice lives. His name must inspire us to fight harder, to work smarter, and to serve better. I remember that slogan, Sahare Mukoni, rather die to a man than let an enemy pass. That's, he used to like that into that expression, Peter Mokaba. Rather die to a man than let an enemy pass. Comrades, as I conclude, and as I congratulate this leadership, this newly elected leadership again, I want to say to you, comrades, I was listening to you this morning on radio, Comrade Makoro, when you said your most important task now will be to make it a point that you reach out to those other comrades who are not here. Kare, that is now leadership. That is now the ANC talking. You must reach out to those comrades, and make it a point that you forge unity within this organization. Without condoning ill discipline. But reach out to those because comrades, at the end of the day, the reason why the ANC exists is because we want to unite everybody. But equally, we don't want to unite with everybody. You must understand that dialectical differences, comrades. We want to unite everybody, but we don't necessarily want to unite with everybody. That is the African National Congress. That dichotomy, comrades, need to be very clear within your minds when you deal with the policies and principles of the African National Congress. Hence, in the ANC, comrades, you've got different kinds of alliances. Long-term, short-term, and medium-term alliances. Because we don't want to unite with everybody, but we want to unite everybody. Comrades, I want to thank you and apologize on behalf of the leadership of the African National Congress for keeping you here for 7 days without going to a conference. Amanza, all power, all power. Thank you, Comrade Pai.